A lot of developments are taking place for the Judgment Day both inside and outside of the ring, so we'll check that out. We'll also see what's new for LA Knight, Liv Morgan, and more. Starting things off with the Judgment Day's storyline. Ever since Finn was kicked out of the group, Liv Morgan and the Judgment Day like to present the narrative that the group has never been more united and more together on the same page. But despite what they're telling us about their own unity, of course actions speak louder than words, and what we're seeing from Judgment Day tells us a whole different story. We see that there are a bunch of little cracks within the group that have potential to absolutely erupt like volcanoes if things keep getting worse there. One of those things we've been closely monitoring in recent weeks is, of course, Roxanne's relationship with Liv Morgan and the entire group as a whole. The last few weeks for Roxanne hasn't exactly been smooth. Roxanne has been manipulated by Liv Morgan, forced to take a loyalty test, and has been on the hot seat in the group. This trend continued into the May 25th edition of Raw, where Roxanne and Raquel had a massive tag team match against Bayley and Lyra. Nothing was directly on the line in this match here, but the women's tag team division has been on fire, so every win could build up your case for challenging the title. Every match does matter in the division. Roxanne and Raquel had a lot of outside help in this match, first coming from Liv Morgan. But Liv was caught in the act and tossed out of the ringside area and forced to leave. And Liv instructed Dominik to take over from there and help Roxanne and Raquel win. We saw Dominik distract the referee while slipping his own title to Roxanne to use. But Bayley gets to the title at the same time, there's a tug-of-war, and Roxanne eventually and accidentally knocks Dominik off the apron and loses the match after Bayley rolls her up. So although this wasn't a direct tension-building moment between Liv Morgan and Roxanne Perez, what this moment did accomplish was continuing to show us that the Judgment Day is a little bit out of sync right now. Cheating flawlessly can sometimes be an effortless thing for the Judgment Day, but here we see in current day that there has to be some underlying issues that are causing their plans to fail miserably, and things just aren't the same right now for them. This loss can also be another lesson for Roxanne Perez as well. Sort of like what Brie, Finn, and everyone else had been telling Roxanne in recent weeks. If she thinks staying with the Judgment Day and trusting Liv Morgan is the right path for success, she's in for a rude awakening. And if this tag team loss right here shows Roxanne that relying on Liv and the Judgment Day and cheating overall is not going to go smooth all the time. Reality is that Roxanne probably would have had a better chance winning that match straight up without any outside the ring games being played. So maybe it's something that Roxanne doesn't realize here within the moment, but it could be one of those things that stack up and build in her mind over time. She'll eventually come to the realization that maybe it is true that the Judgment Day is holding her back more than anything else, and that's going to be the moment where Roxanne stops looking at the tag team titles and maybe starts looking right over to the side of her at Liv Morgan and that women's world title. Maybe Roxanne realizes sky's the limit for herself and how she maybe has a shot at dethroning Liv Morgan if she really focuses on that. And if that's her endgame and the story is done perfectly, then of course we're still looking at a huge babyface turn here for Roxanne. So it's an exciting story to continue to keep an eye on. It's going to keep advancing, but in very small and subtle ways. So we'll have to pay attention to the details. Speaking of the Judgment Day, let's get into some outside of the ring comments by Liv Morgan and Dominik Mysterio about their current usage right now and their current perspectives on that. While speaking with SA Magazine, Dominik Mysterio revealed he feels like the WWE may have no idea what to really do with him at the moment. He had this to say, quote, "I don't think they know what to do with me. I'm too cool. They have lightning in a bottle and they have no idea what to do with it, so they're just letting it sit. I'm like you. I'm just waiting. I've beaten John Cena, I've beaten AJ Styles, beaten Rey Mysterio, beaten Damian Priest. I don't know what they're waiting for. I'm 29 years old, kids young. You've got all these old fossils in there working. I don't know what they're waiting for." End quote. Dominik wrapped his remarks by saying that he's patient though, and how he'll keep waiting for them to strike with him and get it right. And Dominik's remarks caught a lot of buzz online because this has been a conversation fans have been having about Dominik's usage. Right around mid-2025, crowds were reacting extremely positive towards Dominik Mysterio, and fans thought there would be some babyface turn possibilities there, especially after several hints, but things really settled down there and fizzled out. And then later in the year, Dominik Mysterio pins John Cena in John Cena's last ever premium live event match, and that win just kinda came and went for Dominik. No real momentum or story was ever built off that massive win he scored over John Cena. And it didn't really do much for Dominik, and it didn't really take his usage to another level coming out of that win. So fans have been saying the same thing Dominik said in this interview, that it kind of feels like they don't really have a clear path for him at the moment. But like Dominik also said, he's still young. He already has these big wins under his belt, so maybe there is hope that they'll get things right here in the future for him. And for Liv Morgan, a fan rightfully called out the logic flaw about how it's so strange how no one in the Raw women's locker room has stepped up to the plate to challenge Liv Morgan in the first 30-plus days of her reign. This is definitely something that hasn't gone unnoticed by fans. Everyone is talking about how Liv Morgan has basically been a background character in the tag team division over the last few weeks, despite holding a world title herself. Liv Morgan reacted to the fan post by saying that no one has stepped up to confront her in recent weeks because they're all scared of her. So that's Liv's explanation for why she's been without a challenger for the first 30 days of her title reign, and we'll have to see if her first challenger will pop up soon. Word on the street is that Stephanie will be the first challenger for Liv, so we'll have to continue to wait on that. Speaking of questionable directions, that brings us to the update with LA Knight. LA Knight has been a bit directionless for a while on Raw, but this week's edition of Raw finally gave him a clear path. LA Knight brought up the upcoming King of the Ring tournament and mentioned how it's something he's focused on right now. So that's LA Knight's new goal at the moment, advancing in that tournament and winning the whole entire thing. In recent years, the winner of the King of Ring tournament also gets a world title match at SummerSlam, so that's also on the line here as well. Will they do Roman versus LA Knight at SummerSlam? It's possible for sure, but it seems a little unlikely that they turned that match for SummerSlam. So maybe LA Knight won't win the whole tournament straight up, but even going deep in the tournament will do a lot for him to build up that momentum, so hopefully that still gets done for him. But what are your thoughts on today's stories? Leave your comments below, don't forget to subscribe with all notifications on, and leave a like if you enjoyed. Thanks for watching, guys.